All right, we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Westwind Report. Today is Tuesday, March 25th, and this is a new show. So you're probably wondering, what is the Westwind Report? Who is this talking? What's going on? How did I come across this? Those are all pretty valid questions because I don't know how many people are even going to see this, but I'm just going to do it anyways. So the Westwind Report is going to be a daily news show covering Canadian politics. And the way I'm going to structure my show is going to be a little different from the usual Canadian political, influencers or journalists that cover Canadian politics, because they can cover the news a lot more frequently than I can, all the breaking news, stuff like that. So I'm just a average guy, so I can't really break the news like they can, so I'll leave that to them. But I want to do something a little bit interesting with this show. So pretty much I want to look at each day up until the federal election in about a month. Yeah, just over a month, April 28th. And I'm going to look at each day, and then I'm just going to simply tally who won the day, because everybody knows campaigns, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So there's a lot of things that go on each day, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tally, who wins the day, and then by the time the federal election comes up, we're already going to know who wins. So we're going to be the first ones to break the news. So yeah, that's what the Westwind Report's going to be. And if I can't, I'm going to try to do daily videos. If I can't, then I'm just going to be posting it and keeping the tally going on my Twitter, as you can see here. And I've only got 12 followers, boys. Come on. We got to those are rookie numbers. Terrible. My parents will never approve of me. With 12 followers? I'm an independent journalist. Well, I'm under review for my blue check mark, but once I get my blue check mark, I am an independent journalist. And you might be thinking, well, what gives me the right to be so nonpartisan and be able to say who wins or loses, right? If I don't have some sort of bias. Well, I'll tell you, I am a 29-year-old male. I grew up in a household with a liberal mom and a conservative dad, so I've heard both sides of every argument, every godforsaken argument, political or otherwise. I guess I'm a classic liberal, not in the sense of what a liberal means now today, but as I'm getting older, as I'm trying to start a family, as I'm trying to build my own wealth, the conservatives are starting to make a lot of sense. But this is the Westwind Report, and we will remain nonpartisan. So, yeah, and how I'm going to constitute who gets the win and who gets the loss is I'm just going to do a simple eye test. I'm just going to look at a notable event that happened for each party each day, and then I'm just going to give my take on it. And then at the end of these episodes, we're just going to say whoever won and whoever lost. So, technically it's been going on, the election cycle. They counted it since Sunday. So I'm just going to give the Conservatives the double win at 2-0 right now. Without further ado, let's just hop into it. So I'm going to be looking at two notable rallies that happened today. The Carnster, Mark Carney, was in Nova Scotia. I think he was in Halifax, where he made some questionable comments, to say the least, during his rally. He addressed the TVA debate scandal, where he is not going to be competing in the Québécois, French-Canadien debate. He got snippy with some local journalists. He was addressing a new smear piece done by the Globe and Mail on Pierre Poilievre, and he addressed the veterans in a way that was baffling, to say the least, to use words of him, baffling. And then we're also going to look at the event, the rally that Pierre Poilievre had, on the other hand, in Hamilton, Ontario. It was a huge turnout. He, went over the conflicts of interest that Carney has with his Brookfield Asset Management corporate ties, being a chair and then investing in foreign interests, but whatever. And he also talks about tanking the CBC, which is really great. But yeah, so we're going to hop into these. Please follow or like or subscribe or whatever, I only got 12 followers, so let's get those numbers up. I'm just gonna start this show. I'm just gonna put my voice out there, and we're gonna just see what happens with it, and we're just gonna let it rock. I'm not paid by the CBC. I'm not a grifter or anything like that. I mean, I got 12 followers, for goodness sake. I don't have that. I don't get that CBC money, and I wouldn't take the money, even if it was offered. Well, maybe, I don't know. Have to be a pretty big check. Anyways, let's just hop into these first segments. So here he is. Prime Minister Carney, I guess, technically. This is him with all the workers. This was during like midday, so I think that this was during their lunch break, where they knew a lot of the boys would be okay with standing there for half an hour, 40 minutes, eating into their break time, just to listen to Carney drone on. And this is kind of this is the optics they're putting up. Everybody gets their high vises on and visi vests and stands behind, because Mark Carney is just a man of the people. But the first little note I want to cover is he was asked about not participating in the TVA debate, and this is his response.
In English, please.
Well, I said that, why not if we have a debate with all of the leaders of the parties? I now realize that the leader of the Greens were not invited. There are two leaders of the Green Party, as you know. As well, we have the debates, which I look forward to.
So I'm just going to stop right there. He's not looking forward to the debates. He's not looking forward to sharing a stage with Pierre Poilievre or, any other leader for that matter, because it seems like a lot of people don't like this guy, and it seems like he's got a lot of skeletons in the closet. So he's not excited for it. And also, the Green Party has a leader and a co-leader. Come on now. There's not two leaders. Respect Elizabeth May. She's still in the throne. All right?
Overseen by the Electoral Commission. In French and in English, the 16th and 17th are the dates. I look forward to those debates, and I'll add that I have spent during my leadership campaign.
Are French Canadians pissed about this? I can only imagine that the Québécois would be upset about this. I love our French Canadian brothers and sisters, but just seems like this is going to really tick them off. So we'll see. A usual liberal stronghold kind of thing. But he goes on and on to say,
campaign. I spent more time in Quebec than any other province.
So that's why I don't need to go to this debate. I've already been to Quebec. I've been to Quebec already, all right? I don't need to go back. I don't need to do a debate. Stop asking me this question. And then this is Carney addressing the Globe and Mail hit piece that was done on Pierre Poilievre. And before we just actually look at that video, I want to just jump to the article here. So it's behind a paywall, Globe and Mail. I mean, I ain't paying for it. Somebody's got $8 per week to spend on the Globe and Mail? Damn. But they dropped this piece. It says CSIS alleges India organized support for Poilievre's 2022 conservative leadership bid. Okay. This was over 3 years ago. Why would CSIS just release this information now? This seems awfully convenient that this comes out now. Yeah, something seems a little fishy here. And, I refuse to pay for the paywall. But there's, other ways to get the article. If you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. But then there was this post by Carson Jerema. He says, Globe's India story smears Poilievre with Carney talking points. And he sums it up pretty good here. He says, the story headlined CSIS alleges India organized support for Poilievre's 2022 conservative leadership bid contains almost no new information, at best 100 words out of the 1,100, delivered on the third day of the election campaign and laced with liberal talking points about Poilievre's security clearance. Nothing about it smells right. He goes on to say the Globe sourced its story not to someone within the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, but merely to a source with top secret clearance. That means it could have been someone from CSIS, but it could have been also been a member of the cross-party National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians. So nothing adds up, right? And it also said in the Globe and Mail article that it's been investigated. Nothing has come of it. You know, he won his leadership bid in a landslide in 2022. It's just a clear hit piece. But he was asked about it nonetheless at this rally. So let's see how he responds.
That I find it beyond baffling. I find it downright irresponsible that the leader of the opposition, day after day, month after month, year after year, refuses to obtain his security clearance.
So he goes back with this whole refusing to get a security clearance. Like, look, a big liberal criticism of Pierre Poilievre is that he's a career politician. So he is, and he is. He was a minister in Harper's cabinet. So he has security clearance. Like, there's all these different levels of security clearance. I don't know which one he has, but like, I would think to say the guy's pretty clean. As clean as a politician can get. Because if we find out that he's dirty, it wouldn't really surprise me, you know? Wouldn't really surprise me. But it's blatant that Mark Carney's dirty. So, I mean, I give the advantage to the Conservatives on that one. But yeah, it's this whole security clearance thing, and the reason Pierre Poilievre doesn't want to get the security clearance because he's going to be privy to information that the government gives him, and he's not going to be able to talk about it. And the primary job of the leader of the opposition is to hold the other party accountable. And so if CSIS is holding this foreign intelligence interference report and saying, hey, we're going to show you all this, but you can't talk about it. Like Pierre Poilievre, he's not going to do that because he has to be able to say and hold the opposition accountable. But it's this liberal talking point that's being pushed and pushed and pushed. And also, I just wanted to note about Mark Carney is his presence is just. Let's get rid of this. His presence, man, his stage presence is just. It's just not there. Look at him, hand in pockets. It's not like charming casual. It's almost like I don't want to be there casual. So yeah, I mean. And he has no cadence to his voice. Politicians are really good, articulate people. Barack Obama, right? Justin Trudeau to a certain extent. When he first came on the scene, young, energetic, very articulate. Got his point across, clear and concise. Animated his voice, Mark Carney it's just a flat line. But moving forward from this rally, Mark Carney getting a little snippy with the old reporters. He wasn't too happy that he had to stick around and answer some more questions from lowly peasants.
Merci. Are you the last local person? Can we? Okay, I feel that. Yeah.
2 minutes, please.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Mr. Carney.
Yeah, I'm gonna let.
Very quick, Mr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
I'm Jacob Moore with Acadia Broadcasting. We have stations in parts of the province that really.
Like, I'm sorry, man. This guy is just such an elitist. He's so pretentious. Like, look at this.
Merci.
Are you the last local person?
Like, look at his hands. Are you the last local person?
Can we
please, I just need to get out of here. I'm like, my time is valuable. All right.
Okay, I feel that. Yeah.
2 minutes.
I feel like, I've spent enough time answering you stupid peasants. All right. I only talk to the CBC because they treat me nicely. All right. I don't have to talk to you local reporters.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you,
minutes.
thank you, Mr. Carney.
Yeah, I'm gonna let.
Very quick, Mr.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to let him. Yeah. Sorry. I'm going to let him. I know I'm going over my time. Sorry. I'm going to let him. Like, oh man, he's just so unlikable. And I think this is the problem with the liberals is that the more this guy talks, the more unlikable he becomes. You can put whatever stock you will in the polls, but I mean, this guy whew. I mean, he is a self-proclaimed elitist and globalist. So, I mean, and also this is local news. This is a guy who lives in the area that you're visiting. Don't you think that he would have, he would be up to speed as to what's going on in the city and what needs to be changed? So Mark Carney, if you're going to come out here and trot around like your Team Canada and all this and that, and us Canadians, we need to work together, and I'm going to bring up the middle class, you guys get 1% tax cuts. I'm going to save you $800 a year. If you're going to try to sell that, then at least play the part in full. But he's not, because he's an elitist and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about this reporter. He doesn't care about what happens in Halifax or Nova Scotia. But this one here, this is the creme de la creme. This is the gem. So this is part of his speech as he is addressing as he's making a point to increase spending on our armed defenses.
Under the last Conservative government, when Pierre Poilievre was a minister, that government was spending less than 1% of GDP on defense.
This is crazy. Is he really the last Conservative government that was in power like 10 years ago? Does he not realize his government has been in charge for the past 10 years? Like, what a reach that is. I just can't think of just average everyday Canadians hearing that and being like, "Yeah, that's a good point. We should be spending more." What did we do with what did the Liberal government do? What?
And Conservatives abandoned our armed forces and shamefully abandoned our veterans, closing area offices across Canada.
So why didn't you reopen them? So when they did that in 2015 and Justin Trudeau came through with a majority, why didn't you reopen them? Why didn't you take care of the veterans?
Since then, Canada has doubled down on our national shipbuilding strategy, which right here...
Wait, so since the Conservative government stopped in 2015, since then... You've doubled down on shipmaking? What? We're still waiting on the purchase order for our fighter jets. Those aren't going to be here till like 2030 something. And our Navy, it's a joke. And our national defense spending, it's like still like 1.3%. So yeah, it's not less than 1% like it was in 2015 under the Conservatives. But it's 1.3% under the Liberals. Saying we're going to hit the 2% or 3% targets by 2030? Like, man.
In Halifax is creating good paying union jobs for Canadian workers.
Thunderous applause. Absolutely thunderous applause. And keep in mind, if he wants to tout this garbage, if he wants to get up there and just lie in front of people, in front of the Canadian people, then, we don't have to look much further in the past as to this gem here of this Canadian patriot, which I believe he lost his leg serving, was addressing Trudeau not too long ago.
Because you have ISIL or ISIS members coming into a reintegration program. You did a backdoor deal with Omar Khadr with not even stepping into the courtroom. So again, my question is, what veterans were you talking about? Was it the ones that fought for the freedoms and values that you so proudly boast about, or was it the ones who fought against? Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me.
Incredible. Incredible. And you know what I love about this guy? He says, Mr. Prime Minister. That's that good old Canadian spirit. That's that good old Canadian honor. There's probably 800 things he wanted to call Justin Trudeau in that moment, and Mr. Prime Minister was probably last on the list. So good for him. And then this is Trudeau's response.
So which veteran was it that you were talking about?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your passion and your strength and being here today.
And then just look at the juxtaposition, right? This man standing tall hasn't moved. Absolute statue. Just completely grounded in his morals and his convictions. And then we've got Mr. PM over here, sitting on his bar stool with a glass of water, just in case he gets parched.
Today to share this justifiable frustration and anger with me and with all of us here. Thank you for having the courage to stand here, and thank you for listening to my answer. On a couple of elements you brought up. First of all, why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they are asking for more than we are able to give right now.
And that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about how the Liberal Party feels about our veterans. But now I guess we'll switch over to the old Conservative side. And I just wanted to highlight this little snippet from Pierre Poilievre in Ajax today, addressing the attack that took place in a library where a young woman was attacked and her hijab was there. This crazy person was trying to light her on fire, essentially. So I just wanted to play this real quick and have him address that.
Unfortunately, I have to begin with some bad news. In nearby Ajax.
You know, I will say one thing before we get into this. What's going on with these? Axe the sales tax on homes. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I'm not like a huge fan of all these slogans. I think bring it home is fine, you know, but just run with that. You know, axe the tax is great. It rhymes. But, you know, you get into Dr. Seuss territory, right, with all these rhyming words. But anyways.
A Muslim woman was recently attacked at the Ajax library. She was totally innocent, and she was attacked by a monster, a nasty perpetrator who once again had been released. This is a person who had been released after threatening people with a machete, but after she pleaded guilty, she was sentenced not to jail, but probation. This is the increasingly common story after the lost Liberal decade of crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder in our streets. Electing the Liberals to a fourth term in power will only mean that crime and chaos will run rampant here and everywhere across the country.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, it's true when you really look at the streets of our cities in Canada. It used to be such a blissful and gorgeous place, but our cities, man, they're getting run over. And a lot of the times the cops' hands are tied. They can't even do anything. You know, like I was in Toronto not too long ago, and the fucking downtown Toronto, it's like a war zone. But I also, with that clip as well, I want to also show this one. So this is the RCMP talking about crime in Canada, essentially.
Significant number of organized crime group, but if you're asking me for a specific number, I can't give you a specific number.
How many organized crime groups are involved?
Over 4,000 organized crime groups in Canada, as assessed by the Criminal Intelligence Service Canada.
4,000 individual organized crime groups, all with their own distinct leadership and membership?
That's correct.
So that's incredible. That, like, why is nothing being done on this, right? I also just want to point out, dude, Dane Lloyd, he can't even believe what he's hearing. Look at this. This is just a face of disbelief. Like, he's looking at him like, you meant 400 or 40? 4,000 different organized crime units?
That's correct.
He's like, that's correct. And then this guy too, when he so he goes,
Number of organized crime group, but if you're asking for specific
I don't know
numbers,
I don't know specifics.
Can't give you a specific number.
How many?
Right? Then he leans over to Buddy here. He's over Buddy here, and he knows. Buddy knows the exact number. Right?
Canada has
Breaks it down. You know that he has told him this multiple times. He doesn't care. He does not care. It's all corrupt. It's so rampant. Like crime, it's not like the crime that you see in America, in Canada, when it in regards to like, you know, like foreign regimes, right? With America, you know, they had that whole border crisis, and there was just like people, literally American citizens being killed, and that was just plastered all over news and everything like that, and rightfully so. You know, that's a huge reason why Donald Trump won with his mandate, because there's people literally just being, you know, killed in the streets. But with us and within Canada, and you can look to BC, right? It's financial. It's money laundering. And I think I think the culprit is, you know, a lot of Eastern Asian countries, and, you know, China, to say one of them, right? Like there's real estate tycoons from Asia who have come over and bought up, like, parts of Canada, city blocks, right? There's a real estate investor, a real estate tycoon from China who owns like 20% of Vancouver, something like that. You know, there's all these underground casinos. So all these guys, they're on the take. I don't think this guy is.
as assessed by the
I think he seems like a pretty honest fellow.
Criminal Intelligence Service Canada.
4,000.
He's like, yeah, so there's 4,000. Yep. And then watch this.
Individual organized crime.
That swallow. Yeah. He's like, yep. I'm not shitting you. Please save me. This whole RCMP is corrupt. But anyways, this was the rally for Pierre Poilievre. Looks like a lot of Canadians are looking for a change. I think it was, reporting like 4,500 people all together, which is pretty incredible for a Canadian political rally, I think. And I also want to point out, like, this is Poilievre.com. So these guys take all of the available polls, and then they kind of take the average of everything, and they put it in this nice graph. And you can, if you don't like certain polls, you can click and unclick them, and it removes them. But like, there's all these polls. Like, look at this liberal surge, and look, they're even. They're ahead by, 2 points or whatever. So it's closed. They've closed the gap. But then you look at pictures like this, right? And you see the numbers, and you see the diverse people. Like, there's men, there's women, there's old people, there's young people, So I don't know, take those polls with a grain of salt, I think. So we'll just see. This is the pop that Pierre Poilievre gets from his fans here. Like, look at my boy in the front row. Blue jacket. He is pumped. Look at him. Look at him when Pierre Poilievre turns around and sees him. Look at him. He's like, wow, you are the man. You are the man. Look at him, man. That is a patriot. Right? He's pumped. And that's what Pierre Poilievre seems to be doing with these rallies. They're a lot bigger than Carney's. They're a lot more energetic than Carney's, right? He's an articulate guy, and he's got a loyal fan base, clearly, right? So we'll see. Like, you just see those polls, and you're like, yeah, man. I mean, court of public opinion, though. That's what the Westwood Report's about. See, bring it home, bring it home. You know, just run with that. Stop all these other freaking candy cane slogans that you got going on. But this is also this is a little snippet of that rally, and it's him addressing Carney's possible conflicts of interest. And it's, you know, it's kind of just like, okay, well, you want to bring up a 2022 report that was investigated and nothing came from it. All right, well, we're just going to bring up your current exploits in 2024, 2025.
He knows, first of all, that Mark Carney will sell out our country, as he's done so often. It's a guy with, up until recently, had 3 passports, moved his headquarters, corporate headquarters, out of Canada to New York, only days after Trump threatened tariffs, leaving behind Canadian workers. And it was revealed today that Mark Carney actually went to China and took a $250 million loan from a state-backed Chinese bank. And he still has investments in the same company for which that loan was made, which means that the Prime Minister of our country is now beholden to a hostile foreign regime that has executed 4 Canadian citizens, taken 2 others hostage, done incursions into our Arctic waters, and has interfered in our democracy. It is time for Mark Carney to stop covering up his foreign conflicts of interest. Come clean about what you own and stop selling out our country to foreign interests.
I mean, that seems like pretty powerful stuff. He also forgot to mention the tariff on the farmers in Canada that no one seems to be talking about. And also, Pierre Poilievre, what he fails to mention is he fails to kind of explain it. Like, under Mark Carney's tutelage at Brooksfield, the company, the hedge fund, essentially was investing in pipelines in Brazil and the UK, while Carney was in Canada in Trudeau's ear, talking about how there's no business plan, there's no business thing that makes sense about liquid natural gas. Huh. You know, it just makes you think, right? Wouldn't it be in his best interest not to have Canada, you know, harvest our natural resources, so then that way all of his investments overseas in natural gas and pipelines goes up in price and profit? Because if there's more from Canada, if there's pipelines from Canada, then no one's going to be buying that oil from Brazil. Like that is worth pointing out. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry my liberal friends out there. You know? But that is just so fishy and that's so shady, man. And then this snippet, this is glorious. This is him talking about taking down the CBC.
And then we will sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build beautiful homes. And you know something, it just warms my heart to think of the beautiful U-Haul truck rolling up with a wonderful family in it to move into their wonderful new home in the former headquarters of the CBC.
The people love it. See, like, you want to talk about those polls, man? I don't know. Polls do not vote. You know, and that's I think that this is a really good move for Pierre Poilievre. I think he needs to lean more into this stuff to garner more attention to himself. I think if he's taking on the CBC, it can kind of be a Trump versus CNN and the fake news media type stuff. I don't know if it's going to get to that point, because that was a battle that took years. You know, it's still going on today. But I think if he can position himself to kind of be anti-CBC, then I think it's all the best. And I just want to wrap up with this last little tidbit. This is Barbara Ball. She's the conservative. She's running for she's running in the same riding that Mark Carney is in Nepean, Ontario. And so she the other day 1,400 followers, and now she's at 40,000 plus. I'm pretty sure she's like closer to like 50K now, or at least over 50K. But essentially what's happening now is the meme is to get Carney to lose his seat. And I think he might actually have trouble with this one once you hear her talk, because I'm pretty sure she's like an ex-cop. I think she's ex-military. She's a badass bitch. So let's hear.
And the facts are clear. Even if Justice Minister Varani is trying to convince Canadians that their eyes and their ears are deceiving them, crime is up in Canada. Stats Canada backs that up. In my hometown of Ottawa, calls for police are up. There's been 50 shootings citywide this year alone. Just last weekend, we had 8 innocent people shot, with 2 killed at a wedding. And the rising crime is nationwide. 2 days ago, 3 OPP officers were stabbed in the line of duty by a repeat violent offender.
Right, so she's a badass French Canadian, and I don't know, I feel like there is a lot of ground support behind the Conservatives right now, and I think a lot of the things that the Liberals are throwing out just aren't sticking. The security clearance thing, it's like been disproven multiple times. This new hit piece from the Globe and Mail, it's been discredited by everyone. And the Liberals, they seem like they're just in disarray, right? They have ministers who are coming back, like Sean Fraser, who's now running again, and then kicking out other Liberal Party members who, maybe were hoping to campaign, and maybe had already spent some money setting up their offices. They're just kicking people out. Carney's coming out saying he's going to get rid of the emissions cap, and then his Minister of Environment is coming out and saying, no, we're not doing that. So it's just in disarray, right? And then the Conservatives seem to be pretty focused on this. But yeah, anyways, we'll go back to here. So actually, I'm just going to keep it like this. I'm going to count Monday as the first day. I think the Conservatives definitely won on Monday. Carney had that terrible optic of not talking to the fishermen or letting the fishermen in the building. And Pierre Poilievre had like the same crowd that he had today. So we're going to give the win of Tuesday, March 25th, to the Conservatives. All right, it's 2-0. It is 2-0, and we're going to keep on doing this until the election happens. And we're already going to know who wins, because we're using common sense, and we're using our eyes, and we're doing the eye test, and we're remaining nonpartisan. All right. And I don't want to be accused of being partisan just because one political party is making more sense than the other. So that's it for me. We're going to wrap this up, and then I hope to talk to you all again very soon.